Sang Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. I'd like to call your attention to verse 23 at the end of the first Gita Mahatmyam. And this verse says in English, I have disclosed this glory of the Gita. It should be read again at the end of the Gita, and the appropriate fruits will be attained. So my proposal is that we read the Gita Mahatmya again at the end of the Gita, because we have finished our translation. I'd also like to draw your attention to verse number 2 of the second Mahatmya. It says, Atha Dvitiya Mahatmya. And it says, whoever will recite the chapters of the Gita with the method of breath control known as pranayama will be freed from all sins, even those committed during previous lives. I don't know if this is applicable to any of you, but it certainly is important to me. So I would like to show you and chant with you the Gita Mahatmya according to the method of pranayama. I propose that, seeing as this is Krishna's favorite scripture, let's use the Mool mantra of Vaishnav Dharma. It's called the 11-lettered mantra. It's Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And that will be the mantra which we will inhale the length of that mantra. And then we will read 2 mantras of the text in the exhalation. So everybody please open your books to the first Gita Mahatmya. Om Bhu Shwa, Om Bhuva Swa, Om Swa Swa, Om Bhurva Swa Swa. Sri Paramatmane Namaha Ataha Gita Mahatmyam Parambhyaham Darovacha Swaha. Bhagavad Parameshna Bhakti Raprapi Charini Karyatyam Putyam Manasam Katam Bhakti Hekrapo Swa Sri Vishnu Ruvacha Swaha. Paratyam Putyam Manati Gita Vyasarita Sudasa Muktasa Sukhi Loke Kamanano Pradipate Swaha. Mahaprapadi Papani Gita Vyamyaka Roti Chekwati Parsani Gulani Nanini Radha Pambuvatsa Gitaya Pustakam Yadraya Tapata Papadre Tadrasabani Tirtani Prayakati Nikatri Swaha. Sarve Vidvacha Presya Bhaktiyo Nukari Kashike Gopala Gopikava Vina Radha Parashvashri Sahayo Jayate Shranya Shradika Papatre Svaha Pravika Vicharadam Bhagavata Tram Tatra Kantis Vidyam Priti Nivasami Sadevi Svaha. Gita Sadeya Vishwami Gita Vichotra Mangalam Gita Danda Upasya Trigurya Bhavakanya Sva Gita Viparamamaya Brahmana Samshya Bhagavata Pranaya Swami Pachapatatika Svaha. Siddharthatena Krishna Bhakta Sambhukta Jnam Dirgatrahi Paramada Tadhartha Jnana Samhita Svayota Dashatate Vidam Jano Rashadam Pansa Jnana Siddhin Sudrabde Kato Yati Prabharam Svaha. Bhate Sumatra Sampane Kato Dhamma Majre Tata Durana Champanyam Lavli Anta Samshya Sahasri Padam Padam Mansu Ganga Sandam Padamare Sharada Chandra Mansu Samayaka Palamare Svaha. Yekataryan Vijyovidam Bhakti Bhakti Shandra Buddha Lokam Bhakti Kano Bhutva Sejra Bhakti Shloka Padma Nityanya Bhakti Rasa Yati Naratam Yaman Bambam Gitaya Shloka Sapta Pancha Chatushtayam Gopri Nikam Tatanam Sokhanam Yavatin Rasa Chandralokam Apapani Bachanam Mayutam Ram Gita Patasam Mayuto Amrito Manushatam Padesva Gita Dasam Purnakata Lapin Mukti Mutram Gita Yachara Samhito Miyamano Katin Retva Gata Tasra Nasarto Makapa Paluto Vivapa Kuntatsam Papuni Vishwara Sambodhisva Gita Anjayate Vidyam Vipakam Mani Buddhisa Jivan Mukta Sabhikyo Dehantik Param Amdam Sva Gita Mashikya Parabhu Puja Sadhikariya Nirmutaka Macharake Gita Yara Ramdam Sva Gitaya Patanam Pita Mahatmyam Naivajya Pre Prita Nando Bapekasya Sramahi Bhagavad Gita Gita Bhagavad Gita Gita Sankar Protira Santa Palama Patri Durvakati Matiyatsa Sutravarchasva Mahatmyam Nivajya Manya Pruktam Sanatanam Gita Teja Bhakti Surya Yuta Prabhutam Vetsva Tadvidi Om Mahatmyam Gita Sastra Vikram Jnam Yanti Prayatma Vishnu Bhadama Pakuli Dharya Sastra Vipachitra Sva Gita Jnana Sita Syapanaya Maparasya Nivasanti Papani Purvajanat Vikrani Jasva Maranit Mokshatam Sanjala Sandanti Nedine Sakriti Tapasisanam Samsaram Malatnashanam Svaha Gita Sirita Karya Kemanya Shastri Plestrai Jasaya Zatam Vasya Dukha Padmani Dikritasva Bharatam Mitra Sarvasvam Vishnu Bhadrati Dikrita Gita Kemrovata Kramita Pungajanmata Pridureva Sarvopani Shadoka Ota Udapapada Nandra Pato Vatsa Satimukta Dukha Gita Mitra Marasa Ekachara Devapi Putra Gitomiko Devo Devaki Putra Deva Deko Mantrasya Namani Yani Kamakitam Tasya Devasya Seva Swaha Om Swaha Om Bhuva Swaha Om Swaha Swaha Om Bhuva Swaha Swaha Please note that we were inhaling the number of, the amount of air that took to complete the 11 syllables of our mantra. And we were exhaling 4 lines, 2 verses of 32 syllables each, 64 syllables we were exhaling. So we were inhaling 11 syllables, or 12 syllables if you count the om, and exhaling 64 syllables. And now the Gita has become our method of pranayama. Let's go back to the beginning of the Gita Mahatmyam, and now the greatness of the Gita. Oh, we bow to the Supreme Soul of the universe, and now the greatness of the Gita. And Dara said, O Supreme Lord, highest ruler of those who move with devotion, hey, most respected one, give us the teaching which grants understanding for future actions. And I'm sure we were not disappointed. The respected Vishnu said, for the understanding of future actions, always practice the Gita. And he didn't say just study it. He didn't say just read it. He didn't say just chant it. He said always practice the Gita. And he used the term abhyas. It means practice. It means employ in your life. He who practices becomes liberated, content in the world, released from the bonds of all actions. For he who will meditate on the Gita with full consciousness, neither great sins will touch him nor other confusions blossom to fruition. Wherever is located the Gita book, this book, tangible thing, wherever you keep the thing, wherever its recitation is performed, like the Devi Mandir, there, all the places of pilgrimage are situated. There is Prayag and other holy sites. All the great places that you would want to visit are situated wherever you keep the Gita book or wherever someone recites the book. All the gods, rishis, yogis, heavenly beings, the cow herds and herdesses, the gopas and the gopis, and Narad and others quickly manifest their help where the Gita is recited. Where the Gita is contemplated, read, recited, or heard, there in that place I always reside without a doubt. I am situated in the Gita as my refuge, and the Gita is my excellent home. Taking refuge in the wisdom of the Gita, I protect the three worlds. And I remember Sanjay at the end of the Gita, he said, every time I think of the Gita, every time I remember the Gita, my skin is excited. There's just this excitement in my skin, my hair stand on head. I'm thrilled. I'm filled with thrilling attitude. Take refuge in the wisdom of the Gita. Taking refuge in the wisdom of the Gita, I protect the three worlds. Gita is my highest knowledge, the form of God without a doubt. The regular contemplation of even a half a verse or a letter is the contemplation of my unspeakable soul or essence. What delight we found as we studied the Gita, how we verified the truth of his words. Within is the bliss of consciousness with which Krishna discoursed face to face with Arjuna the wisdom of the meaning of the principles, the highest bliss of the three Vedas. Can you imagine the wisdom of the meaning of the principles is the highest bliss of the three Vedas? That's the wisdom and bliss, and bhakti and gyan. They go together. They're not separate. Those men who always recite these 18 chapters without a wandering mind earn the attainment of perfect wisdom and thence go to the highest position. If one is incapable of making the complete recitation, then one should recite a half. Thus one earns the merit of a gift of cows. Of this there is no doubt. If one reads and contemplates a 1/3 portion, one receives the fruit of a bath in the Ganges. Contemplation of a 6th portion bears the fruit of a sacrifice with Soma. Whoever will regularly read one chapter with devotion will attain to the Rudra Lok, the realms of Rudra, Asrutrayate. There's freedom from all tears, no suffering, no sorrow. And will become a member of Rudra's entourage for all time. Whoever will regularly read the words, verses, or chapters will become one with humanity so long as the earth may exist. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole existence is my family. Those men who will read the verses of the Gita, 10 verses, 7 verses, 5 verses, 4, 2, 3, or 1, or even a half a verse, will attain to the realm of the moon for 10 million years of Dhruv, the eternally young sage. That means 10 million times eternity. Human beings united in the recitation of Gita avert death. We saw that the wearer of the body is Avinashi. He's not destroyed. If we become the wearer of the body, we become the witness of all action. We give up all attachment, and human beings united in the recitation don't die. They just change their bodies. Again, those who practice the Gita attain the most excellent liberation. Those who are united in the pronunciation of the Gita attain the dissolution of the substance of all thought. Who can listen to the meaning of the Gita is protected from great sins. He attains the abode of Vishnu, Vaikuntha, and Vishnu is pleased with him. Who regularly meditates on the meaning of the Gita and performs his actions in accordance with its teachings is known as liberated while living, and at the end of his earthly body attains the highest position. Who takes refuge in the Gita becomes a progenitor of abundance in the universe. That's a cool one. He will expel all impurities from the world and advance to the highest position of Gita. Who reads the Gita, but without reading this glory of the Gita, the recitation has an obstruction and it becomes a labor in vain, with a concealment of heart or satisfaction. We always want to study the Gita Mahatmyam, the greatness of the Gita, before and after. Whoever will perform the practice of the Gita with this glory of the Gita will attain to that fruit which is most difficult to be attained. And Sutta said, I have disclosed this glory of the Gita. It should be read again at the end of the Gita, and the appropriate fruits will be attained, and that's just what we did. I rest my case. But not completely. I want to read the second Mahatmyam too. And now the second part of the glory of the Gita. This Gita scripture has such merit that whoever tries to read it completely will be freed from fear and grief, etc., and will attain to Vishnu's highest position. Whoever will recite the chapters of the Gita with the method of breath control known as pranayama, which we just did, will be freed from all sins, even those committed during previous lives, because you're breathing in a mantra, you're breathing out a mantra, and there's no space for any other thought to enter. The only sin that we can commit is forgetting the name of God, missing a breath. Because when we've got the name of God inhaling and exhaling, then who's got time to think of selfishness or confusion? We've got another agenda. Every day one takes a bath with water to remove the dirt from the body. Whoever takes a bath by reciting the Gita cleanses the dirt from all existence. This excellent Gita, what other scripture can be compared with it? From the lotus of his own navel, the Creator came forth. Remember, Brahma was born from the lotus, from Vishnu's navel. And from the lotus of his mouth, the Gita was created. All of the nectar of immortal wisdom and light was created from Vishnu's mouth. Who will drink from the Ganges of Gita will not know another birth. The blissful protectors of cows, Gopal, has given the cream from the cow of all the Upanishads. Arjuna is he who enjoys that milk, which is the greatness of the nectar of Gita. There is but one scripture from the son of Devaki, and that is the Gita. There is one God, the son of Devaki, and that's Krishna. He is one, his mantras are many, many are his various names, perform the service of the one God. And that's the greatness of the Gita. And that's how we recite with pranayama, inhaling the one mantra and exhaling the pronunciation of the mantras of the text. 1 mantra, 2 mantras, 3 mantras, 4. 5 mantras, 6 mantras, 7 and 8. As long as we can expand the recitation, as long as we can extend the pranayam and the recitation with pranayam, so much do we extend the time that we are free from any other thought. So much deeper intensity do we experience the union with the one. let's turn to our cast of characters, the glossary of proper names. And there are both names of the generals in Duryodhan, the army of Duryodhan, and the Kaurava army, the defender, who were supporting the defender of evil, and there are those that supported those of clear perception, of those who are the sons who are without prejudice. So Ashwatthama, who has the obstinacy of a horse. He's going his own way, he's stubborn. Abhimanyu is the name of Krishna, and it's also the name of Krishna's grandson, and it means the imperishable one. Adityas are the sons of the light, and they're the sons of Aditi, and they're the sons of non-duality. Ananta Bijoy was the name of a conch shell, and it says infinite victory. Anant Vijay. Arjun is the clarity of pure devotion. The Ashwins, the lords of pure desire. Bharat, the descendant of the light of wisdom. And actually, Bharatvarsh, the name of country, India, was also named for the King Bharat, the son of Shakuntala and Dushyant. They gave the name Bharatvarsh to India, the land where the light of wisdom always shines. Bhim, who knows no fear. Bhishma, who rules fear. Bhagavan, the respected Supreme Lord, and this was a title of Krishna. And it also means just Bhagya, who has great fortune, the supreme fortune, or the supreme Bhag, the supreme part, who is indivisible, is also Bhagavan. Brahma is creative consciousness. Drishtaketu, the continuity of life. Drishtaketu is the brother of Draupadi. And Drishtaketu he became a leader in the commander-in-chief of the armies of the Pandavas. Dhritarashtra, he's blind ambition. He's the father of Duryodhan, the defender of evil. And look how these kings and these warriors are fighting inside us. Look at our Kurukshetra as I call out their names. Please stand up and take a bow. Be recognized, blind ambition. Be recognized, who knows no fear. Be recognized, who has the stubbornness or the obstinacy of a horse. All of these warriors are in this Kurukshetra. Devadatta, the ambassador of the gods. Drishtadyumna, who attacks impurity. Dhananjay is the conqueror of wealth, and it's the name of Arjun, and he has conquered the supreme wealth. He also had a conch shell by the name of Dhananjay. But the conqueror of wealth is, he's conquered the supreme wealth. He has become the clarity of pure devotion. Dhriti is constancy and also consistency. Draupadi is the enemy of offenders. Drone, who injures his foes with weapons. Drupal, who stands like a wooden pillar. Duryodhan, the defender of evil. Ikitan, who has one tone in chanting. He has Ikitan. He was a general in the army of the Pandavas. The Gandharvas, the celestial singers like Sriman. Govinda, who has one pointed light, or is one pointed light in the name of Krishna. Guchikesh is the name of Arjuna, who has conquered sleep. Krishikesh is the name of Krishna, the ruler of the senses. Hori, the remover of duality, a name of Krishna. And Hara is the name of Shiva. Hori, the Ha means the gross body, the Ra means the subtle body, and the E means the causal body. Hori, who removes duality, who goes beyond all the forms of consciousness. Ishvaku is the beholding witness. It's very interesting. Ishvaku was also a name of the sun. And he was the solar dynasty in which Ram took birth was named after the kings of Ikshvaku. Janardana, who is worshipped by the people. And that's the name of Krishna. The Lokjan Aradhana Kartik. Who is worshipped, worshipped by the people. Kashiraj, he is the king of Benares, the king of Kashi, and Kashi means light. So he's the king of manifested light. Here he is inside. Let that king of manifested light stand up and take a bow. Krishna, the doer of all, we explained so many meanings of his name and the letters of his name in the beginning. Kripa, it means grace. And Kripacharya was the preceptor, he was a guru of both the Kauravas and the Pandavas. And Kri means do and Pa means get. Kri means Kaura, to do. And Pa means power, to get. And who does and gets. And that's the grace. Once you know that you're going to get what you do, you want to do the right thing as efficiently as possible, so you get the right thing as quickly as possible. Karn, who thinks himself to do the doer. He's always attached to every action. He thinks himself as the doer instead of Krishna. Kesava, the one of beautiful hair, his Kesh. But actually, Ko means the cause or the embodiment of the functions of the cause, creation. A means preservation, and Isha means transformation. It's the cause of the embodiment of the functions of creation, preservation, and transformation, a name of Krishna. Kirti, fame. Kshama, forgiveness. Kunti, who removes the deficiency of others. And remember, Krishna is always calling Arjuna, oh son of who removes the deficiency of others. That's a nice mom to have. That's sort of like Sri Mom, who just gives and gives and gives. And she removes the deficiency of others. Kunti Bhoj, who enjoys removing the deficiency of others. Kurunandana, the delight of action, and that's a name applied to Arjuna. Madhava, whose sweetness is intoxicating, and that's the name of Krishna. Madhusudana, the slayer of the Daitya Madhu, and too much, the slayer of too much, that was Krishna. Remember, he became Madhusudan, or he became the slayer of Madhukaitava in the Chandi. Makara, the sharks that are lurking in the waters, waiting to get us. All those selfish desires that come and speak up for themselves. Moni Pushpak, the ornament of jewels. Monu, the protector of the mind. Also, he's known as the circumstance of mind. O is Srishti, U is Sthiti, Ma is Loy. So U is sthiti, that means the circumstance or the preservation or the current circumstance of mon, the mind. The Marut, those who purify. Meda, and we have Medas Muni in the Chandi. He is the loving intellect, or the intellect of love. He's very different from Buddhi, who is just intellect. But Medas adds love to the Buddhi, and he becomes the intellect of love. Nakul, who is free from pain. Pandu, and the Pandavas are the 5 brothers, Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, and Shahadev. And Pandu was their father, he who is without prejudice. He has no color of his own. He absorbs every color. Panchajanya, of the 5 elements, and this was the name of a conch shell. Part is the son of Prita. And do we have Prita? No? Well, Part is the son of she who excels. It was another name of Kunti, applied to Arjuna. Parantap, the supreme light. Pondra, the mark of distinction. The Pitris are the ancestors. And let's talk a little bit about Pondra. There are various forms of Pondra. Pondra is a tilak. This is called Urdha Pondra. And this is called Tripondra. And Pondra is the tilak. The Pitris are ancestors, Purushottam, the excellent, perfect consciousness, and a name of Krishna. We talked about that during the text. Purujit, who has complete, full and complete, perfect victory. He's conquered his own self. Purujit. Rudra, we talked about him already. Asrutrayate, the reliever of sufferings. Satyaki, whose nature is truth. Sahadev, who is equal to the gods or with the gods. Always divine. Always in divine company. Savyasachin, who can shoot with either hand, was the name of Arjuna. Remember, he could shoot with either hand. He was ambidextrous and he could find a way to solve every problem. He always had a solution. He had no problems, he only had solutions. Sanjay, he was victorious over all. Shaitya, the son of unselfishness. Sankar, the cause of peace. The Kara of the sun. It's the name of Shiva, the cause of peace. Shiva Shankar. Shikandi, who dwells at the Shika. At the apex, at the summit, at the top. Shri, respect. And Srimati is Madam Respect. That's the feminine. Smriti, recollection. Somadat, the ambassador of the nectar of devotion. He's always got the Somras. Subhadra, the excellent of excellence. That was the name of Krishna's sister who married Arjuna. Shukosh, the excellent battle cry. Uttamauj, the excellent ability. Vishnu, we discussed him at length, he who pervades the universe as the name of Krishna. Rikoda, who has a voracious appetite. And Ganesha is also called Lambodar. And Brikodar, who's always filling his udar. And that's how he got wider and wider and wider. growing, growing broad. Bach, the vibrations. All vibrations are Bach. And she's also sound. She's also music. But most specifically, she is the subtle vibration, which comes from any sound, because all sound comes from vibration. Boshu is Lord of wealth. Bikarn, who is deaf to evil. He doesn't listen to the evil. He was a brother, a cousin brother, Soterabai. He was a cousin brother of Durjadana. And he said, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to fight for the Pandavas. And he crossed the battlefield. And said, I believe that right, Dharma, is on the side of the Pandavas. I'm not going to fight on behalf of the defender of evil. He was deaf to evil. Rikant, who is not overcome. Virat, who is brilliantly shining, illuminated. Vishwe Devas, the universal deities, or the gods of the universe, or the illuminated beings of all the universe, or beings who are illuminated with universality. Some choices. Vishweshwar, the Lord of the universe. The Vishwa Ishwar, and that's the name of Krishna. Vishnu, Krishna, Rishikesha, Vasudeva, Janardana. They're all the same. Vivashwat, brilliantly shining. Yakshas, the protectors of wealth, or often called the lords of wealth. Yogeshwar, the Lord of Union, a name of Krishna, the supreme Ishwara of yoga. Yogeshwar. Yudamanyu, who conquers the mind. Yudhishthir, who remains committed to the ideal. He steered in the battle. And Yuyudhan, the defender of wealth. Well, these are some of the characters that we are calling upon to stand up and fight this battle for us. We are calling upon the forces of those who are without prejudice, led by the clarity of pure devotion, to conquer the forces of selfishness, led by the defender of evil. Blind ambition is watching anxiously to see his son become victorious. And now we have completed the Bhagavad Gita. Om Namah Iti. Are there any questions?
Swamiji, could you comment on verse number 2 on page 14 of the old edition, which is the Gita Mahatmyam?
Verse 2 of the Gita Mahatmyam.
It says that pranayam liberates us, frees us from all sin.
Yes.
How is pranayam related to our sins, Swamiji?
Sin is a form of confusion that comes from selfish indulgence. We do the wrong thing, even knowingly. And when we're doing pranayama, we're doing the right thing, knowingly. And we get so engrossed, engaged in the pranayama, breathing in the mantra, saying each syllable as we inhale, breathing out the mantra, saying each syllable as we pronounce the mantra, and we conceive the deity, we breathe in and breathe out the mantra, we contemplate the meaning and its application. Where do you have time for sin? It annihilates all sins, even those committed during previous lifetimes, because when we are fully committed and engaged and consciously aware of the process, how can we contemplate selfishness?
How can sinful sanskars drag us back towards another life? It's impossible. It's like knocking on the door and there's nobody home. And that's how the pranayama process will enliven the mantra. Correct the asana. You've got the asana, the pranayama, the Sanskrit, the meaning, the meter, the breathing in and breathing out. You don't have time. You don't have mind left over to contemplate sin. It annihilated sin instantly. Are there other questions?
Swamiji, Janitri from Reston, Virginia.
Namaste, Janitri.
Janitri is asking, can you please explain what Rudra Loka is again?
Asru Trayote iti Rudra. Rudra is the actually who takes away the tears. It's the form of Shiva who relieves all suffering. He takes away all tears. And the Rudra Loka is the Loka where there is no suffering, there is no pain, there is no sorrow. Only there is the joy, the bliss of being with Shankar, the cause of peace. And that perception, that contemplation is the Rudra Loka, the paradigm of reality where no sorrow can enter. This is called Rudra Loka.
Question from Nanda from San Jose.
Namaste, Nandamai.
Swamiji, can you please speak about conquering sleep? How much sleep does a sadhu need?
Oh, it depends on the sadhu and what day you catch him. Nanda, for years I have never been able to sleep more than 4 hours in the night. And it's just a fact of my life. Now, I don't call myself Bhujikesh, but you saw what happened on Shivaratri. We went till 5 o'clock in the morning and everybody had plenty of energy left over. So then we became Gujikesh, all of us. We became conquerors of sleep because we were so inspired and so into what we were doing. It was so much fun and we were so determined to complete our vow that we didn't have any thought of going to sleep. Most of us. Some of us. A few of us. And this is one form of Gujikesh when we conquer sleep for the Sankalpa. And in Jagran, we stay up and sing. And we sing until we run out of songs, which in the Devi Mandir is a hard thing to do. So there are many different applications. How much sleep does a sadhu need? It depends on the tapasya that the sadhu is performing. If you're performing, going to the office every day and cranking out a lot of work for a large corporation and enduring the stresses of going to and from and being there, etc., you probably need a little more sleep than the man who's sitting back on the sofa and relaxing most of the day. So we can't put an hourly rate on it. You will understand yourself for the karma that you are performing what is appropriate, and you want to be rejuvenated and rested and ready to perform for the next day. So don't deprive yourself of sleep, but get so inspired that you don't feel like going to sleep. Just get so turned on by what you're doing. I know all of us went to high school, and I'm sure there was some time in high school you just couldn't go to sleep. The party was going on. And if you can get that way about God, then even more fun. So think about what turns you on, what inspires you, what you feel good about, you feel so excited about, and that's what will keep you awake. Not that, I'm not going to go to sleep because I want to conquer sleep. That won't do. Other questions?
Swamiji, Sadhuma from North Carolina has a question. Can Swamiji talk more about Vak Yoga for those of us drawn to the yoga of subtle vibration of sound?
Namaste Sadhuma, we are talking about Vak Yoga. We are talking about mantra yoga is Vak Yoga. When we're pronouncing the mantras, we're not really concerned about what other people are listening to coming out of our mouths. We're concerned about the subtle vibration that's filling our body as we recite. And if we pay attention to the subtle vibration, then we enter into unity with all vibrations. And the vibration inside becomes one with the vibration outside. We unite with Krishna. So this science of Bhakti Yoga is that's a term used to talk about holistic spiritual practice. We're uniting asana, pranayama, mudras, kriyas, the text, the Sanskrit knowledge, the understanding, the grammar, the akaran, ucharan, the pronunciation. All of these aspects and appendages of our sadhana come into union, and we enter into the subtle vibration. And that brings us to union with our deity. In this case, Krishna.
Nirmala Nanda from North Carolina says, Namaste Swamiji, is Kashi Raja a name of Lord Shiva?
No, actually, it is a name of the Lord Shiva, yes. He's also a king that participated in the fight, in the battle, the king of Kashi. It was a state of a kingdom of union, of Bharat. And it's a state inside of us. The King of Light is within us. And when the King of Light comes to help us in the battle, then our battle formations are fortified and enhanced so that the King of Light has a means of shining his rays, radiating his light. So yes, it's a name of Shiva, and it's also a name of Nirmala Nanda. Yes, please.
Swamiji, at the beginning of number 5, it says, all the nectar of immortal wisdom and light was created from Vishnu's mouth. Who will drink from the Ganges of the Gita will not know another birth. Could you please comment a bit more on that?
Yes, we've been discussing many times the wearer of the body, who understands that he is the witness and he is indestructible. He is the united. He has united his soul with the Supreme Soul, and he is not attached to his actions. How can he know another birth? What will die? How can he know another birth? Nothing dies. He just changes bodies, like casting off a worn-out garment. So he won't die. He is one in harmony with the universal being. What changes? He'll never know another birth. He just has one continuous existence in God.
Wendy from New Jersey has a question.
Namaste, Wendy, Mom.
She says, at the beginning of our Gita class, you said that Chandi is the path to the goal of the Gita. It seems to me that we received a lot of guidance from the Gita about how to walk this path. Can you please comment further on your original statement?
Wendy, we'll comment further on that statement when we do our Chandi class. But if we start that right now, just to give you in brief, Gita says, and we just read it, whoever will regularly read the words and verses and chapters, whoever will read one chapter, whoever will read 10 verses, 7 verses, 5 verses, 4, 3, 2, or 1, or even a half a verse, will attain to the realm of the moon, etc., etc. Now in the Chandi it says, Try to read this text from cover to cover in one asana. And the sadhana of the Chandi becomes more and more intense. With the pranayam, with the asana, with the mudras, kriyas, the meanings. We watch the movie of all of these opposing generals in the army of opposition being cut down and going to heaven, being freed and liberated. And that's our objective. So without disclosing the entire Chandi class in the few minutes of the Bhagavad Gita class, the Chandi gives us a very intense tapasya, where Gita says, be devoted to me and remember me in every action. Chandi says, this is how you do it. This is how you sit. This is how you breathe. This is how you perform your action in the world. And that will accomplish this goal.
Swami, there's a follow-up from Sadhuma to Bharati's question and your answer. Does this mean that he or she will be reborn in the next body with full awareness?
I don't think they're reborn because nothing died. I'm not allowing rebirth. I'm sorry, there are some Hindus who are born again, and some Hindus are born again and again and again, and some Hindus that just don't die. We never give up. And in this philosophy, if we become one with the consciousness, one with Krishna, then the body changes, just like we change the shirt. We change the covering and don't even recognize that there was anything called death. All that we're calling death is the death of the ego that allows us to unite with God.
And Nanda's asking, Swamiji, why is it important to not pray with a worldly goal in mind? Will our mother not grant what we want?
Our mother knows everything we want and everything we need. And more important than telling her our wants is to just tell her how much a privilege it is to pray to her, just to have her in our lives. Not that we want anything from her, but just what a privilege it is that you came to allow me to have a few moments to spend with you. Even better. Now let me ask you, if I come to your house and say, gee, Nanda, I just came here to borrow a cup of sugar. Does that feel as good as if I came to say to you, Nanda, I just came to be with you because I love you. I have no need of my own. Whatever I need, if I need some sugar, you'll give it to me, I'm sure. Put yourself in mother's place and then decide whether you want to pray for things or just pray.
Swamiji, Nirmalananda is asking, the Gita says some go to the realm of the moon while others go the way of the sun or to Krishna. What does this mean?
Well, the moon is the moon of devotion and the sun is the illumination of wisdom. And both have a place. One becomes a bhakta and the other becomes a jnani. So we go in different directions according to our natures and according to our needs at the time that we're going. And this will change from time to time. Sometimes we go to the realms of the loka of Rudra where there's no pain or suffering. Sometimes we go to the realm of the sun where there's total illumination and light. Sometimes to the moon where there's... To the moon, Alice! To the moon! We go to different places according to our karma. Everyone, I think, you so very much for joining us in the Bhagavad Gita classes. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.